selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center Outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Palm Garden wants to get to the heart of the matter. If you've been in the hospital as a cardiac patient, maybe you have a pacemaker or congestive heart failure or an arrhythmia, or perhaps you're a heart bypass patient, then consider Palm Garden as your rehab choice. With proven outcomes second to none, Palm Garden fixes broken hearts. Call today at 854-6262. That's 854-6262.
All right, 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this morning. It's 69 degrees, still a fog warning mentioned here. So if you're out there driving, be careful. If you've not gone out yet, maybe you need to leave a little bit earlier so that you're not rushing through the fog. Yeah. Just be careful out there. And Galen Unold is on the phone from LifeSouth Community Blood Center. Good morning, Galen.
Hey, good morning, Larry, Robin. How are y'all?
Good. Are you driving? Oh, no, you're...
No, I'm still in
Amelia Island. Oh, yeah. How'd it go yesterday?
Yeah. Really well. Yeah, really well.
Yeah?
So,
it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I actually learned something.
You learned something?
What'd you learn?
Yeah. It's complicated. It was interesting. There was a person from a hospital system in South Carolina, and he was talking about, the struggles they're facing with, people going to the emergency room who don't need to be in the emergency room. And more importantly, people who are calling the ambulance service and 911, because by law, if you call 911 and you need an ambulance, then you have to get an ambulance. And, he pulled up examples of all the percentage of ambulance runs they were doing and how many of them were life-threatening. There were some people who were using the ambulance because they didn't want to go to their primary physician because they had a cold. It's crazy. It's crazy. And they knew that, because of their medical coverage, it would be completely free. But, the taxing and the cost that puts onto the system is just outrageous.
Oh, wow.
And so they were talking about how they were overcoming that and what they did, and it was just fascinating. So, yeah.
Well, I think sometimes people go to the emergency room because if they don't have insurance, then, the emergency room...
It's free. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's why.
And that's exactly right, and how much that costs. And they never... they wouldn't have to pay the bill, and that was one of the rationale. It's crazy.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? If people are hurting,
but it's for not. Yeah, but a lot of times,
not an emergency.
It's not life threatening or anything like that. But again, it's there's cost is, and that's one of the reasons why costs are going up so much is because of the improper use of the emergency room and things like that.
But specifically,
the same visit to say a doc in the box,
right,
is something like 75% more in the emergency room than it would be at a doc in the box.
Oh, really? But I'm guessing as far as LifeSouth is concerned, there wouldn't be no need for blood in a non-emergency situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that was just something you listened to and you learned, but it wasn't a direct connection with what you do.
Well, the reason it helps us is because we're both in the medical field, and so what impacts the patients we serve impacts all of us. So there's a direct correlation there, and so that's why we like to stay abreast of everything that's going on, and with the Affordable Health Care Act and things like that, there's impacts that we're just starting to feel within the industry. So.
Speaking of health, I was looking at something this morning about how there was a story out of Michigan. Yeah, Michigan, where these children who are, they're dealing with cancer. They're going through the treatments of cancer, and they're going through depression. And so this guy who does martial arts started this program called Kids Kicking Cancer, or something like that. And so he gets them involved with it more, and all of a sudden their attitude changes, and guess what else happens? Their numbers change for the better too. When the doctors say, "Hey, you're doing a lot better." Attitude, yeah. So I don't know if that would work. Like a kid would be more interested in golf You know, you could have something similar, or maybe baseball is the sport of choice. You know, have you heard of other programs like that?
Yeah, there are programs like that all over the country, and the key to those types of programs is the person who runs it. You know, what has to happen is you have to find the person who is motivated and fired up about helping kids with cancer, and then they bring their expertise on. I was watching, there was something on the Golf Channel, this special, where this guy, he worked and taught kids with Down syndrome how to play golf. And I was like, wow, that I know I get so frustrated at golf. I can't imagine somebody with Down syndrome. And he talked about, and they showed him and how, their swings were so good and how much enjoyment they got out of it. But that's the key. It's probably that individual more than it is the activity itself.
Oh, yeah.
It's that person who's caring, who gets involved and says, you know what, these kids need help, and I'm going to help them. And,
oh my goodness, yeah.
That's the key to a good, strong community is that type of person within your community, and that's very difficult to do. I mean, I know I'm just a coach of a boys baseball team, and we don't have to go over through all the medical issues that they would do, and but I just, my hat's off to people who do that.
But it does roll over to the arts as well. There was a story the other day. Like, let's say a kid is not. You could say golf. You say karate. You could say baseball, and it's no. What do you like to do? Or I like to sing. There was a video the other day of an autistic child, and he was dressed up like the snowman from Frozen. What was it? What's his name?
Yeah.
Olaf. Yes. And but it was a horrible costume. It looked like he was wearing pajamas, is what it looked like.
He didn't care.
And no, he didn't care. And he was on stage and he was singing the song "Let It Go." Mm-hmm. And to our ears and everybody else's ears, he sounded horrible. But to his ears, he sounded beautiful, right? And the audience, which was basically other children his own age but not autistic, picked up on the fact that he was forgetting words, that he was a little bit lost, and they all started singing along.
Oh, that gives me chills.
With him. They all started, rather than booing or making him feel bad, they all started singing along, and man, this kid was all smiles. I mean, this kid was as happy as could be. And I just thought, there's a lot of good in this world that you don't hear about,
Sure is. There sure is. And I think, but the key to that, to all of this is, as we as adults have to get involved. So often I hear about, people complaining about, like, well, what are you doing about it? What are you doing to fix it? You complaining doesn't fix anything. You telling somebody else that there's doesn't fix anything. And if you want to fix a problem, find something small and start there.
There you go.
Go to the there's volunteer opportunities everywhere.
Well, not to
for anything that you're into.
Not to make something obvious or maybe even corny, but I mean it boils down to something simple as donating blood. Mm-hmm. I mean, if
it's absolutely right.
If that's what you can do, that's what you can do. It's one thing you can do. Sure. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking that Robin and I have done a lot of stuff. People have asked us because of radio just to do, and I'm not saying this to brag. I'm actually saying this because I'm a little bit disappointed that lately I haven't done a whole lot of those kinds of things. We do a little bit, but not like we used to do. I mean, we used to be out there all the time.
Yeah.
But we're getting older too.
And I'll tell you, from an organization that's a nonprofit, and I would much rather have someone's time than someone's check. I tell people that all the time. Look, I don't really have time. I can't do this, but can I just write you a check? I'm like, well, I guess, but I would much rather have you invest your time than invest your money, because time is much more. Money can't buy time. And I tell people that for everything. So get involved. I'd rather have you physically there. And that's what blood donation is you have to be physically there.
You do have to be physically. You can't write a check for that.
No,
but it's so important to get involved. And the more involvement you have, the stronger the community is, the lower the crime rate. I mean, there's all kinds of stats on that stuff. So find something to do.
And you can't have the success of like 5 Points of Life for the marathons and also now the golf tournament coming up if you don't have people stepping up to the plate to volunteer.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. We cannot do it without those volunteers, and that's with every organization from Habitat to Humanity to American Cancer Society. You think of the Relay for Life. You think about the YMCA. You think about all of these different events. Every baseball field you go by, every football field, basketball court where they're playing a game, that's volunteers. What about a neighborhood play? This weekend I'm going to a play at Forest with my son, and think about the hundreds of hours that were put in there by volunteers and parents and teachers. That just can't be done without it. But you can't write a check. You've got to be present. And I think that's where
somebody has to write a check. There has to be somebody write a check.
Yeah, somebody has to write a check.
You know what? Though I'll tell you this. If I have an event and I have enough volunteers, I don't need a check. I can manpower through everything, because you know what? The more people I have involved, the money will follow. I've always believed that.
Well, that's true too. That's true too.
If I want to do something, if I come up with an idea,
right, like human racehorses.
That's right.
Oh, he's on the same page as me. Look at that.
There you go. He's going to do
it. If that became very important to me.
Yeah, if it did. If it ever did. Which is not likely.
That's correct. That's correct.
Until you see somebody in Vancouver, British Columbia doing it, a Canadian.
That's right.
Then you're going to kick yourself.
You think that would influence me?
No, I think
that's in Canada.
I think it'll tick you off. I think you'll say, "Oh man, we had that idea first."
I can do it better.
It's Canada. Canada's the wrong motivation for me. You know that. And that's the whole thing. It's get involved. If you really, and I tell people this, where I'm at, people are complaining about the political season, and I'm just not going to vote, that kind of thing. I'm like, well, that doesn't do any good. If you don't like the system, then get involved with the system. So that's the only way you're going to change it. I've never heard of anybody fixing anything by talking about it. You got to get out there and do something eventually. So go out there and do something.
Well, sometimes
there you go. You got me on my soapbox, Larry.
You're talking about it. So talking does make a difference, by the way.
Well, only if I can motivate somebody, that's great. But I do that. I try to do as much as I can.
But the people we hold up to the highest are usually people who stood at a podium and spoke, and what they said got other people motivated to do, because you can't.
But if they're not willing to walk the walk that they talk, it's meaningless.
Yeah, but okay, but you can't do it by yourself, and so sometimes talking, it gets other people on board. And if you were building a bridge, you couldn't build it by yourself.
Mm-mm.
So I think the great, think of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa wasn't great because of the words she spoke. She was great because of the actions that she took. Right?
And the words she spoke.
The words.
Well, but she spoke very, very little, and the reason we put such credence into those words was because of her actions that were along with those words.
Did you ever hear the story, and maybe I shared it with you, of the nun who was at the orphanage and they had no food, and she went to Mother Teresa and she said, "Mother Teresa, we have no food. What are we going to do?" She said, "We'll go back to the orphanage and pray to Jesus." And the nun said to herself, "Oh boy, okay, I'll do that." But she didn't think that was going to be enough. And she went back to the orphanage and she prayed. And there was a knock on the door, or the doorbell rang, or whatever, like within the hour. And there was a guy from a local restaurant, and he said, "Could you guys use this food? We made way more than we needed for one of the buffets we did." And she was like, "You're kidding me." So
awesome.
She went back to Mother Teresa and she said, it worked. And Mother Teresa says, "Of course it worked." It was like, whoa. I mean, that is pure faith right there.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And maybe her words, well, the story of her words, I think, is important there.
Yeah, but think of like Martin Luther King, the greatest orator of our time, right? Arguably the greatest orator in America for the last 50 years. Fair enough?
Yeah.
His words would have rang hollow if he didn't back them up with his deeds. And the more deeds he did, the more credence we gave his words. And I think that's very, very important to have that combination. And there are very few of us who can speak with the passion and influence that Martin Luther King had.
All right. Speaking about words and speaking with passion, do you know the name Mike Mayock?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you know who this is. Gosh, I was so worried you wouldn't know who this is. Well, let's see. According to my clock countdown here, the NFL draft on NFL Network, round 2, is 10 hours, 40 minutes, and 16 seconds away and counting.
Correct. Yeah.
So Mike Mayock is going to be making some statements. And so remember yesterday we had a cheat sheet for non-sports announcers who might be invited to be a color commentary?
Correct.
Commenter. Well, here I have the Mike Mayock glossary, so that when he says things, we'll know what he's talking about. All right?
Sure.
All right, so we need to have your help on this one, and we'll do that on the other side of the break. But before the break, how's the blood supply?
We're okay. We're critical need of type O. But so we just need people to get out there and donate blood. We're going to be at the movie theater this weekend. So get out there and do something. If you don't like what's going on, do something about it. And you can do that by just giving blood.
Yeah. Save
3 lives, and maybe the people you'll save will do something.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe they'll cure cancer.
That's right. You never know. If you can, when you're donating blood, just think the fact that Galen's statement wouldn't have made it to your ears without the help of some great sponsors. So thank those 2 people who did something. That's right. Penn Flooring, 2 organizations, not 2 people, 2 organizations. Penn Flooring and Palm Garden. Thank you both very much. Penn Flooring provides quality customer service with a family touch. They've got beautiful flooring, remodel your home from the floor up. They've been in business more than a quarter of a century. They're located right here on in Ocala at 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the McKay-Williams Bridge, which Robin called me from yesterday. She said, I'm on the McKay-Williams Bridge.
That's right. I sure did.
I knew where she was. Thank the folks at Penn Flooring. And Palm Garden, of course, we can never thank them enough for what they do, not only for sponsoring this show, but for also giving people a place to get their rehabilitation, for respite care, for long-term skilled nursing care. Go visit Palm Garden and surprise them. Just show up. Say, hey, I would like a tour. Larry said you don't mind if I just pop in without an appointment. And they'll say, well, Larry's right. Who the heck is Larry? Whoever he is, whoever the heck he is, he's right. Anyway, you'll find that it's a really wonderful facility. All right, when we come back, Galen is going to give us his thoughts on this list, this glossary of Mike Mayokisms. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On Friday, sunshine mixing with clouds. Watch out for an afternoon thunderstorm. High 86 near the coast, 92 inland. And partly cloudy Friday night, low 67 inland, 72 at the coast. Saturday, sunshine mixing with clouds. An afternoon thunderstorm in spots. High 85 near the coast, 92 inland. And Sunday, partly sunny. High 85 near the coast, 91 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Palm Garden wants to get to the heart of the matter. If you've been in the hospital as a cardiac patient, maybe you have a pacemaker or congestive heart failure or an arrhythmia, or perhaps you're a heart bypass patient, then consider Palm Garden as your rehab choice. With proven outcomes second to none, Palm Garden fixes broken hearts. Call today at 854-6262. That's 854-6262.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
When Bob Wine's Camellia Garden says they have the area's largest selection of quality trees, you can believe it. Here's proof. Pick a tree, any tree, maybe an extra large tree, 6 to 8 foot tall, and you can buy it for as little as $39.99. Huge savings, 33 to 66% off, even the larger, and super gigantics. You always get more quality tree for less at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. That's a fact. Check Bob's big ad this week for a whole long list of specials like Southern Living Ever Blooming Encore Azaleas, regularly $24.99, but only $14.99 this week. Double red, double pink knockout roses, just $19.99. Fantastic selection of daylilies, all your favorite colors, regularly $6.99, but you get 6 for $29.99. Don't miss the savings today at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, just east of US 441. Daily till 4, Saturdays till 2. Homegrown, locally owned in the same place since 1952.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
The most trusted name in news, Fox News, every half hour, only on 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Something like that, but could be $8,000.
All right, 25 minutes after 8 o'clock, Galen and Unold on the phone. We're having an interesting conversation off the, just caught the tail end of that. I forgot to turn this thing down, but, I put it up too early. So he was telling me that some of the hospitals I'll let you tell it, Galen, just real quick, because I want to get to the Mayokisms.
Yeah, one of the things we were talking about yesterday is one of the speakers was talking about there's a health system in South Carolina that tracked everybody that uses the ambulatory service. And they found out that 80% of all of their calls came from about 100 different houses or locations. And so what they did is they actually put in a system where they could manage those 100 and prevent them from calling the ambulance because there was non-life-threatening stuff. So the one example he brought in was this elderly woman whose person who took care of her left every Friday at 4:30, and she was calling 911 every Friday at about 5:30. every Friday she called,
whether she needed an ambulance or not.
Yeah, she did. It was more about just somebody to talk to and just to give her reassurance. And so they actually instilled a system where they have a nurse who now covers that area, and they go in and they do these routine checks on those high call rate places. And I just found that fascinating because, every trip to the emergency room costs anywhere between $8,000 and $11,000. No matter what you do, that's just the initial cost.
That is unbelievable. There's something wrong there too. I mean, the fact that we could go down that road all day long. But it's because of the way they have to treat the patient, because of the tests that they have to run. So if you say you have a chest pain, they have to run certain tests by law. I understand that.
And the other part is it's not, a lot of these people don't have insurances, and so they don't cover it. They don't pay anything, and so that means everybody else who goes in there.
That's it. That's the real reason. Yeah, that's the real thing.
That's a big part of it. There's no doubt about it.
All right,
part of it.
Let's shift tracks here. Okay. Let's see. 10 hours, 32 minutes, 29 seconds. The NFL draft on NFL Network begins.
Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
Mike Mayock, who I don't even know, but Galen knows, thank God, is going to be making comments because Mike Mayock is with the NFL Network. Okay. So he's a well-known sports commentator?
Yeah, he is one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I have here the glossary of terms you'll hear him use and their definitions. Are you ready?
Okay.
A road grader, if he uses the term road grader.
He's an offensive lineman who moves people around. Yeah, basically in a nutshell.
Wow, Galen is amazing. Listen how
people around.
Do you want to hear how amazing Galen is? An offensive lineman, this is the definition, an offensive lineman who is highly effective in driving a defender off the ball on a running play.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Let's see how you do on these. Okay. A natural bender. He's going to use the term natural bender. What does that mean?
Natural bender? I've never heard that term.
Okay, it's a flexible, athletic, offensive, or defensive lineman who bends at the knees, not the waist.
All right. Well, that's a typical Mike Mayock. he's a guy who tries to be very pedantic in his color commentary.
He's a downhill thumper. He's a downhill thumper.
So basically, he runs straight ahead, isn't the fastest guy in the world, but if he hits you, you're going to feel it. And if he gets ahead of steam, it's going to hurt, basically.
You mentioned...
Big running back, not a lot of speed.
I think you said yesterday high motor guy, didn't you? Or was that this morning? High motor guy.
High motor guy's different. High motor guy's different.
Burp the baby. If you hear him say burp the baby.
Oh.
You know what this is? No, this is when a quarterback taps his hand on the football too long and throws late, allowing a defensive back to jump a route. Okay.
So we call him ball tapper. So if you see a guy back there, he's tapping the ball.
Oh, man.
Oh, ball tapper.
Let me see.
Burp the baby. That's a funny one.
Oh, if he says J-A-G, what does that mean? J-A-G.
Oh, I don't know.
Just a guy. It means just a guy. He's J-A-G, just a guy.
I better be sure before he
Sand
says
in the
that.
pants is an undersized lineman that possesses toughness but needs to add bulk and strength. Sand in the pants.
Sure.
Galen, 5 seconds. Where's the Bloodmobile?
Today we're at Regal Cinema. We're at the movie theater. So
the movie theater.
Get out there and do something.
Thank you, Galen. Have a great day.
All right, you guys are the best.
All right, thank you. Have fun. We'll be right back.
The anti-Trump crowd stomped and damaged cars, including at least one police cruiser, painting messages on cop cars and puncturing the tires of a police SUV. Now the mobs brought traffic to a halt, throwing rocks at motorists, waving American and Mexican flags. At least one Trump supporter was bloodied in a fight with protesters.
Fox's Robert Gray, some 20 people arrested. A vigil for 4 students killed in a car crash.
The University of Georgia is a family. We care about each other. And tonight is a time to show that we care.
University President Jerry Moorhead, the 5th student involved in the crash this week, is in critical condition in a chopper carrying at least 13 people crashing near the Norwegian city of Bergen. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Wildfires burn millions of acres each year. And each year, wildland firefighters like Fire Chief James Hall battle to contain them. But they can't do it alone.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. It can ignite and destroy your home, your community, or more. That single ember can be just as dangerous as the wildfire itself. But you can do something firefighters can't. You can act now to prepare your home and your community for